Hi, welcome back to another episode of SEO On-Air. I'm your host, Aaron, and today we have Chris Raulf, founder and president of Boulder SEO Marketing. We talk about how international SEO has changed over the years, what are some of the challenges he faced in his early days of Boulder SEO marketing, and how some micro SEO strategies can improve your game. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Who exactly is Chris Raulf? And how do we from wherever you did start, how did we get to Boulder?
Okay, good question. So I'm originally from Switzerland. I moved to Boulder, Colorado, I guess about 25 years ago. I spent, all of my childhood, early adulthood in Switzerland, traveled extensively. A lot of Swiss people travel a lot. So that's what I did, got my education in Switzerland. Then moved to Boulder, Colorado for a 6-month internship through my company that I used to work with. And then met my future ex-wife here in Boulder. We moved back for 3 years to Switzerland and then moved back to Boulder, Colorado in the late 90s. And then, this is home. Yeah.
But when you got to Boulder and you also started doing SEO and digital marketing, when did the agency actually start up there?
Yeah, so I was a marketing executive for a software company before I started this business. And, I was getting to an age where I figured, I'm going to have to do something. I always had the entrepreneur spirit in me. And then one day I, read my horoscope, which I don't really believe in, but it said, if you don't make a major change today, you'll regret it for the rest of your life. So I took a shower and, I always had been involved in SEO in some form or shape. So I figured, hey, why don't I just start my own company? There's so much demand. Every business has a website. They all want to show up at the top in Google. So I got out of that shower and I'm like, hey, I'm going to write my letter of resignation right now. So with the towel around my waist, sat down at my computer, wrote my letter of resignation. And that's the moment Boulder SEO Marketing was born, right? From that day on, I worked before my normal job, after my normal job, and then all in, right? I didn't really care if I would make it or not, but I knew it was something that I had to do. And it worked out.
What were some of the common mistakes that you kind of made while starting out?
I made a lot of mistakes, which was a great thing because I learned from them right away. And when you are on your own, when you have your own business, the mistakes cost you money, right? You personally. Right. So you learn right away on how to learn from your mistakes. So I got really good at learning from my mistakes. Luckily, I made a lot of mistakes early on. So that helped me later on in running this business. We still make mistakes, but they're heavily reduced dramatically. Right now, we have a lot of people working here. So I want to make sure that we make as few mistakes as possible, but it's critical that you make mistakes when you start out, as a new business, because that's how you learn how to avoid to make them again. So I was all in, I knew that it's not going to be perfect what I'm going to do here, but I'll give it my all. That's the best I can do. I knew I was really good at SEO. And, with my spirit, my entrepreneurship, willingness to be all in, I figure that's a good recipe for success and clearly worked out.
Yeah. And I'll jump into the experience part of it, but I wanted to kind of find out hypothetically, if I were to start my own agency let's take Boulder, for example, itself. If I were to start my first agency, what are, let's say, 3 to 4 things that you would tell me not to do immediately?
Oh man, sleep a bit more.
Okay.
That's, you need to have a clear head. You need to have a lot of energy. I mean, you have all this adrenaline going. So I would say get as much rest as possible. I love beer. I love the taste of beer,
Right.
I don't go crazy, But don't drink too much, obviously, because
Okay.
it can impact your performance.
I thought you were leading up to being like, hey, listen, you should have a beer at least once in a while to kind of take the edge off. But you
Yeah,
said,
yeah,
no,
no,
don't
that's
drink.
totally fine. But
Okay.
I caught myself, working away, and then it's easy, a beer, and then also an hour later, hour and a half later, it's another beer, etc. All of a sudden, it's
Right.
like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and
You just
you
ate
worked
beers
away and
down.
you drank away, and then you have to get up again at 6, 7 o'clock.
Right.
So sleep, everything in moderation, and then have fun. Like
Okay.
you don't know how this is going to end. You're not in complete control. Go along for the ride. Enjoy it as much as you can, and then I think you're in good shape.
I think that's one of the first times I've actually heard someone say, while taking a big risk like this, to enjoy yourself in the process. Because a lot of people, I think, take it way too seriously and then they get lost in that. But they
Oh
have to
yeah.
kind of remind themselves to enjoy this
So
entire process.
you have to sort of like a mindset of F it. Like you're not in control
Right.
of everything. You're in control of very little, but the
Yeah.
stuff that you're in control in, be as in control as much as you can, right?
Right.
Know your stuff, be really good at servicing your customers. Like the foundational stuff you're controlling. The big stuff, the universe things, you're, less in control in. But then have fun. Like I did this because I was, fed up like dealing with corporate America. So I'm like, I had it and I wanted to make the most of this experience. I didn't care if it would work out or not. And I think that's the mindset that contributed to the success that this business now is, right?
One of the things that, since you did bring up mindset, one of the things that I've noticed a lot in corporate America is that there's a lot of the hustle culture going on. So, what would you say to those people who actually would push and say that you have to do the hustle culture if you want to make your, let's say, first million?
It has to come natural, right? The
Okay.
first thing that I did the first day of being in business for myself, I took a trip to Vegas because my brother and his family were visiting, and it just happened to be that that was, exactly when I started my business. So we were in Vegas. So I made sure I had fun, but then I also made sure that, I got up and I did those calls and I did the work. So you cannot force it. It has to be
Right.
natural. You really want to have to do this. But again, it goes back to, having fun. Make sure you don't think by just hustling all the time, you're going to make it work. It has to be a natural balance. I
Right.
loved, having fun in Vegas, but then getting up, in getting my work done. So I'm not a huge fan of. I don't believe in the hustle. Head down all the time. It's just
Right.
going to burn you out. Take a break. If you need a break, take a day off. Take a couple of days off and rejuvenate. That's very important.
Yeah, because I feel like if you're not able to kind of balance out the fun and the work part of it, you will kind of deviate towards one more than the other. And then you'll either lose one or the other. And then that's another headache that people have to go through.
It has to be a balance. Everything in life has to be a balance, right? Otherwise,
Topsy
it
turvy.
goes. Yeah. So I think that was critically important for me to realize early on that, yeah, it's exciting, to start your own business. And I worked a lot, but then there were also times where, I knew I had to take a break and actually
Right.
put work away for a whole day. What a crazy concept, right? As a business
Right.
owner. Otherwise you burn out. And, I've gotten really good at, or like, making micro breaks where, I would go for a bike ride or, I would go and swim or just like make sure that you need those breaks and take them when you need to take them.
I was actually talking to someone the other day about this as well, about how if you are just sitting in front of a screen for 8 hours every day, you will kind of slip into a very dark place. And you need to have some time where you get some fresh air, some sunlight, or a little bit of exercise to kind of keep your brain refreshed.
Yeah, and I mean the thing is, so we're growing very fast right now. So I'm back to probably working 7 until 6 o'clock. And then, after dinner, I'm again on my phone answering emails. So my wife actually told me, take a break. Remember, like a long time ago when we were there? So it's like, that's a great reminder. I'm
Yes.
done after that time, where I had dinner. Okay, just put stuff aside. It can wait. Otherwise, you burn out. And then
Yeah.
you put the business at risk, right? So it's very important to realize when to stop working.
So one more thing then, if we are talking about like just the mental health side of our industry specifically, this is a kind of a two-parter question, but basically the first part is, as a business owner, how can I make sure that I don't burn out and I don't have, let's say, any kind of mental stress for my company? And the part two is, how do I, as a business owner, help my employees also not burn out? Like, what are some of
Yeah.
the company cultures that I can do to help both of us?
Okay. Great question. Let me start with my employees first, because that's the most important asset any business had, right? So we don't really have a vacation policy. I want them to take about at least 4 to 5 weeks of vacation. Here in the US, a lot of businesses, they give you 2 weeks of vacation. How in the world can you do a nice trip somewhere, experience something fun, right? So I want my employees to obviously do a really good job while they're working. But to me, it's very important that they take time off, that they, disconnect completely for like 2, 3 weeks. One of our employees, he was, I think, less than a year with us. He took a month or like 5 weeks off. He was able to travel with his family to Southeast Asia. That's a big thing. He did really good
Right.
handoff with his colleagues to ensure that the customers were still served the right way. But how amazing, right? So that's incredibly important to me, that my employees are happy, they're not burned out, they actually, enjoy, bless you, enjoy
Thank you.
showing up for work, but they also know that, hey, I can actually go on a nice long vacation. All I have to do is, make a good handoff with my
Right.
colleagues so that everything runs smoothly. And then, so the first part, that was about me.
Right.
How do I ensure that
Yeah.
I don't?
I mean, you kind of give an idea already, but like we can re-go through it again.
Yeah. No, so I mean, cut back on drinking. I love beer, but I discovered that there's a lot of alcohol-free beers. Um, So yeah, it goes back to that. You have to have a clear mind. Now I get up super early, right? I'm the most productive in the morning. So it's like, I guess it goes in the realm of like your physical appearance. I do yoga. I do work out with a fitness coach. I do a lot of biking, hiking, skiing. So your physical appearance, very, very important. Mentally, I do yoga, I do meditation, and then I eat well. I eat mostly vegan. So, I mean, those are the three pillars, right?
Right.
To being in shape. That's critically important. And then, yeah, I take a vacation as well. In fact, I think next month I'm going to spend mostly in Mexico. I'm going on dive
Right.
vacation. And then I'm going to take my wife, one of the kids, and her boyfriend on vacation, and then the entire team. We're going to do a Mexico vacation. So I think that's probably what keeps me sane. And then, yeah, stay curious. I love to read. I love to educate myself. But what's going on in the industries. I think that's what keeps me going and healthy and sane these days.
So I wanted to kind of touch on the SEO experience that you've had, because not only do you have it in SEO in general, I think you have more of the international type of SEO experience.
Yeah.
So, how did you kind of get into the international side of it, and what kind of differences are there between that and our regular SEO?
Yeah, that's a good question. So actually, if you do a Google search for, I think, international SEO expert, you should see my personal website at the top, or global SEO expert, international SEO consultant, should be right up there. So I used to work in localization, translation many years ago. So I was exposed to global marketing, multilingual marketing, big companies, tapping into new markets. And then, so that experience or expertise combined with SEO naturally makes sense, right, for me
Right.
to offer international multilingual SEO. So that's sort of how I established myself as an expert in that area. So it has to do with, language, trends creation instead of just translation.
Right.
International keyword research is different than normal keyword research. So it's just a very interesting field that always interested me. And it's not rocket science, right? But there's not that many people that do it well. There's people like Aleda Solis. She's a great, very well known in this industry. There's other people that I read their blog posts, etc. But it's a smaller crowd that is able to properly address international SEO, and it's certainly one of my, things that interest me the most when it comes to SEO.
Did you kind of know that international SEO was something that you were great at, or was it something that you kind of accumulated over time?
No, I saw the need out there, right? Like every big corporation has a multilingual website, but yet they suck terribly at being good at international SEO.
Right.
So that's how I got into it. And, I consulted with, some of the biggest companies in the world, trained their teams, etc. And that's sort of how it started. And now we work on some international SEO projects here at Boulder SEO Marketing. It's definitely a bit more complex than a normal, local SEO or national SEO project, but way more interesting.
When you kind of did start off Boulder SEO marketing, and along with just your SEO and digital marketing journey personally itself, um, did you kind of see all the changes that have been happening over the past 10 years? And what were some of the major changes that you think have happened?
Yeah, so I got into SEO at the very beginning, right? These search engines just appeared. So I've seen it all, right? The SERPs, the search engine result rate, have changed dramatically. There's so many new things when you go to Google now. If you do a search for, how Google evolved, you'll see the timeline when they introduced, the knowledge graph, or like the carousels, Google Translate, the maps, etc., etc. So that's always interesting to see what kind of changes they make in response to how the search landscape changes. So obviously, we have to be on top of everything, because Google could make a small feature change that could dramatically impact some of our clients. So we need
Right.
to be on top of that. And then, not sure if that's what you had in mind, but now with, SGE, Google's
Yeah.
new search generative experience, which ties into AI that is emerging, with the emergence of ChatGPT, November, a year and a half ago. It's changing everything, right? Google SGE is about to launch globally. I think they just in the US finally launched it without being part of the beta program. So I think
Right.
this is going to roll out very soon globally. So that's a massive change. And we already more or less have figured out how to optimize for Google's new search generative experience. So things are always changing, and I love that things are always changing.
Yeah, I was going to actually, it was leading towards the SGE and ChatGPT. But one of the questions then is that if it is always changing, what are some things that we might be able to predict in the next year or so in terms of SEO and Google?
Right now, I can predict that it's really hard to predict things because,
Right,
with AI, we're right at the beginning of the hockey stick. 20 something years ago when the internet emerged, we're at the very beginning. Look at where we're at now. Could you imagine a life without the internet? No.
yeah,
Same thing is happening with AI, right? I use it every hour of the day.
right,
I primarily use Gemini, Google Gemini. It's ChatGPT's main competitor. Why? Because Google has access to the most data in the world. So that tool is getting shockingly good. I mean, if you're not using AI as part of, most everything that you do, especially as a marketer right now, you're falling behind. That's what we do at Boulder SEO Marketing. We're testing, how can we use AI for basically any process, anything that we do here at Boulder SEO Marketing. We're not just gonna rely on AI, but we're making it part of our process. But
right.
again, we're not going to rely on it because that's not a good thing to do.
Yeah, I think if you give 100% dedication to the AI part of it, you still need that human interaction or human value to whatever content you are trying to create. I think it was something that you had mentioned as well, that if it's only the people who aren't learning AI who have to kind of fear for their jobs. But if you're one of those people who are kind of getting into AI, you are probably bettering yourself at the job that you anyway do. So it's
Oh
kind of
yeah,
like
I
what you
mean,
said, you do AI or you get left behind.
I mean, you can't, wish it to go away. I mean, this
Yeah,
is the biggest revolution in 20 25 years, right? So generally speaking, my tip is like embrace AI now because we're at the very beginning. It's going to go
right.
faster and faster. Now's the time to learn it, make it part of whatever you do. Try to take advantage of. There's so many tools out there. Every day there's a bunch
Way
of
too many
new. Yeah,
tools.
it's crazy, right? A bunch of new tools. You're going to be more efficient. Take advantage of AI now.
One tiny topic that we kind of talked about earlier as well, which is SEO strategies, but not the regular ones. This would be micro SEO strategies. So maybe very briefly, could you give us an explanation of what exactly it is and how to kind of accomplish it?
Yeah. So it goes back to, I'm sure many of the listeners here, they know John Mueller of Google, he's search
Right.
advocate, right? What he always talks about is, create incredible content that people are searching for, that's helpful. It's in line with Google's helpful, reliable, people first content update, which is now
Yeah.
part of the core algorithm update. So basically what we do is we do a tremendous amount of research based on the keywords that we want to rank for. And then we overlay our proprietary SEO methodology called micro SEO strategies. And then we create a piece of content that's probably 10 times better than what's currently ranking out there for the target SEO keywords. So
Right.
we basically just create the best piece of information with SEO best practices applied to. And that, in a nutshell, is what we do here. We're
Right.
sort of like an SEO agency turned into a content marketing agency that happens to be really good at SEO, but we basically create content that's way, way, way better than what's currently ranking out there.
And is that because of the amazing people at Boulder, or does it have to do with a little bit of AI help as well?
I mean, we use AI for research, outlines, etc. I mean, AI is a big part now of the process, but we don't use it to create the content, right?
Right.
So it goes back to our own website got hit by one of Google's core algorithm updates in 2021. Luckily, I mean, it was terrible, right? We lost 80% of our search traffic. But I had to go back to the drawing board and really figure out, hey, how can we turn this around in the shortest amount of time possible? So that's when I rethought everything. I developed the SEO strategy framework, which, I used the mind mapping software to create all these bubbles, make sure everything was well organized. And then I put everything together. And that's when we developed micro SEO strategies. In fact, if you do a search for like micro SEO, you'll find our guide at the very top in Google. So basically I concluded that, it's all about the content. Google is now so advanced that they can successfully detect really high quality content and surface it to the top in their search engine. Why don't we just focus on that mostly? Yeah, we're still going to do technical SEO. We're going to do foundational stuff like, meta tags, etc. But the most important thing is content. That's what we primarily focus on.
If you had, let's say, 2 to 4 minutes to basically advertise yourself and Boulder SEO marketing, how would you basically do that? This is basically like a 2-minute, 3-minute.
Yeah. For me, just Google the search term international SEO expert, right? I think I'm number one, so I don't need to say more. I've been doing this for 25 years. I don't sell, I educate. So just look me up, right, by finding me on Google. And then, Boulder SEO marketing. We're an incredibly hyper-focused, I would say at this point, content marketing agency that happens to be really good at SEO. So if anybody wants to show up at the top in Google for their target SEO keywords, we don't care how competitive those keywords are, get in touch with us. I'll do probably the chat with, the people reaching out to us. I'll show them what we can, what we cannot do. But yeah, we're hyper-focused content marketing agency being really good at SEO. I hate selling myself, so that's as far as I go.
Well, Chris, I thank you for the chat. I'm kind of pushing my time here, sir, but I'm more than happy to have another chat with you again with another episode. But I'm so glad that we had this chat. I've learned so much about stuff that I don't think I would have actually learned easier that way. You've been very straightforward with it as well. So again, for the third time, thank you so much.
Thanks so much for having me, Aaron.
Thanks for watching that episode. I hope you enjoyed. For more videos like this, make sure you like and subscribe.